Hi, this is Jenny Hudson bringing you the Author Connection, the voice of independent authors. And today I am proud to introduce our guest, Ava Cummings, who just released her book, Sweet Muse, and she has been an editor in New York for fashion and celebrity magazines. And this book is taken from experience. She'll tell you all about it, and I'd like to welcome her. This is Ava Cummings, and so welcome, Ava, to the Author Connection. So, in your own words, explain why you wrote Sweet Muse. Tell us all about it.
Sure, yeah. Well, Sweet Muse is what I'm calling a real girl romance. And what I mean by that is I've been a big fan of romance forever, and I've been reading them for a long time, but I got kind of tired of the typical plot line of the billionaire CEO takes the innocent assistant, and, I wanted to write a romance, with a real girl, for real girls. You're insecure because you don't know who you are yet, and maybe you even feel a little shameful for just being who you are and not having the world figured out. And so I wanted to kind of own that, and my protagonist, Anna, she's honest, she's edgy, and she's, experiencing that full agony of figuring yourself out in your 20s, and so wanted to kind of shine a light on that. At the same time, I lived in New York City for 10 years, and I worked in media publishing, and I always thought when I was living there and working in that world that they're just such places of extremes, both New York and publishing, and I thought they would make great characters in a book, a great backdrop for a book.
Right, so the publishing is actually a character too, in a way.
Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. And all the characters in the publishing world, of which there are many.
Yeah, and I think you really did a great job in capturing it. So what are the biggest issues that you think someone faces moving to New York, and how did that color your writing of Sweet Muse?
Sure, yeah. That's a good question. I mean, in my mind, living in New York is hard. You're broke. I mean, unless you're an investment banker, but you're going to be broke. You're going to live in a shoebox, right? And you're sort of fighting to make your way with millions and millions of other people who want to do the same thing. So, you have to have a dream so strong and a drive, so strong that you're willing to put up with all that to make it there. But, if you do and you go all in, New York is an amazing place where you can achieve things and dreams that we really can't do anywhere else in the world.
So what is the biggest takeaway from the book, do you think?
Well, I think in a lot of ways Sweet Muse is like, a coming-of-age story of a woman in her 20s. And, I was, in addition to being a journalism major, I was a women's studies major in college, and I'm all about female empowerment. In fact, I wanted to work at Ms. Magazine at one point when that magazine was still around. But I'm all about female empowerment, and I really want, women who read the book to feel like they can, own their own journey and own, becoming who they want to be and blaze their own trail and do it with confidence and security. And, so that's in there. And, at the same time, I like to have fun. I love to laugh. I love to enjoy life. And, I want this book to be a fun read. I'm a huge aficionado of lowbrow entertainment. I mean, I love my Bravo, I love my TMZ, and I think it's fine to love that and also love the New Yorker. So, I want this book to be a fun read that you read on the beach or stay up all night tearing through, just have fun with it.
So there's another part of this book too, and I know that you are a popular book on Wattpad, and everybody has been very excited about it, and people have described this book as a combination of 50 Shades of Grey and The Devil Wore Prada. So talk about the 50 Shades of Grey part of it. I mean, that's a whole other part of this book, right?
Sure, yeah. I mean, there's definitely some steamy romance in there. So I think, like so many people, I was inspired after reading 50 Shades of Grey to, I always sort of in the back of my mind wanted to write a romance novel. And after reading that book and seeing the success, I wanted to sort of go for it myself. And so, my protagonist, Anna, is, kind of as I said before, she's figuring herself out. And, she's looking for love and to find the one. And like in the real world, and, you don't always hit it right the first time. So she's got to sort of taste a few bad apples before she finds the one. So you definitely get to go on that journey with her as well.
Yeah, and what's nice about this book, I think, is that she's more of a rounded character and that she has a career that she's striving for too.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's great. So what was it like to write it? What's your process?
Oh my goodness, it's so funny that you should ask that question. I mean, so I am a mom of two pretty, youngish kids. I, work full time as a, vice president in a company, and I'm very active in my community. And, sometimes I look back and I'm like, how did I write this book? So it was a lot of late nights. It was a lot of early mornings, a lot of finding, pockets of time on the weekends. But it's funny because when I think about it, like, do you know when you want to do something so much that you find that motivation and you find that time? I mean, everyone says that, but it's so true. I just was so passionate about doing this and completing it that somehow I just pulled off. I mean, maybe the key is just that it took me forever. It took me 4 years, but I did do it in the end.
4 years isn't together. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
Everybody has the same 24 hours in the day.
Yeah.
And they say this about people going to the gym. Okay, you see the people there and they have the same 24 hours in the day that you do, and they can manage to get there. So,
That's right.
It's just prioritizing what you want to do and making it happen. So good.
That's right.
Yeah, good for you. So, Ava,
Yeah.
what in your background informed this book? Tell us about
Yeah,
that.
well, I mean, as I kind of mentioned earlier, I lived in New York and I worked in, the media world in the late 90s and in the early 2000s. And that was really like the heyday of publishing still. It was before the internet boom. And it's really when, editors still had expense accounts and got to take like Lincoln Town cars chauffeured around the city. And it's when editors were also still like arbiters of tastes and sort of creators of the cultural conversation. And I really want to put that in the book because it was such a interesting time that is so different now. And so that's in the book. And but at the same time, I have to answer this question because everybody always asks me if Sweet Muse is an autobiography and if Anna Starr is me and if there's a real Damien Wolf. And, what I can say is that, Sweet Muse might have been inspired by events that happened in my life. And Anna Starr and I do share a couple of personality traits. I bite my nails. But other than that, it's a work of fiction.
Right. Well, I don't think any author can totally get away from who they are and their experiences. But I mean, that's the nice thing about making a work of fiction because you don't have to claim it, and
That's
your
right.
characters can do things that you wouldn't do. And
Yeah, it's so fun. That's such the fun part of writing, and you don't know, what's going to happen when you sit down at the keyboard. I love that mix of planning when I'm writing, but leaving the door open for what comes out, which is always fun. I love that.
yeah, absolutely. So, where can people buy this book?
So I'm so glad you asked that question. So go to my website, which is avacummingsauthor.com. Available on Amazon as well if you just want to go there and search Sweet Muse or search Ava Cummings. But on my website, I have a blog. You can read behind the scenes of the book and more about me and my writing process. And I blog about, writing and reading. And you can find me on Twitter. All my stuff is on there, and on Facebook. On Goodreads. I'm all over. I'm trying to be everywhere all the time.
That's great. And are you an author that is accessible to people? Are you going to answer them back on Twitter or, in their blog?
Absolutely. I am so into, I think it's so great, with Wattpad and having my book up there. Wattpad is a social reading platform, so I'm really getting to connect with readers and get instant feedback. They comment and they vote, and we're becoming friends, and I love that. I want to know my readers and connect with them and hear from them. I love that.
That's great. Well, I hope people go out and buy it and contact you, and you have a great success with it, because it's a really fun read, and I know people will enjoy it. So thank you for joining us today on the Author Connection. You've been a wonderful guest, and I wish you every success with Sweet Muse. And thanks so much, Ava. And again, this is Jenny Hudson bringing you the Author Connection from Merrimack Media, and we are the voice of independent authors. And for more shows, you can visit our website at merrimackmedia.com. See you next time.